Hey, what's going on, guys? Today, we'll be talking about 5 quarterbacks who are under the most pressure to have a successful season in 2025. This on another episode of At number 5, we have Kyler Murray of the Arizona Cardinals. Now, the Cardinals, they haven't been really relevant since 2021, which is the last time they had a winning season, and they were in the playoffs. Since then, Kyler Murray as a starter has had a 14-22 record with the Cardinals, and continuously he and the Cardinals have failed to find success. While he is a very talented quarterback, hence why he's the lowest on this list, the continued losses and not having any meaningful success will eventually lead the Cardinals ownership to probably want an upgrade at the position. So Murray needs to have at least another season like 2021 where they had at least a winning season and a wild card spot to justify the Cardinals continuing to have him as their starting quarterback. At number 4, we have Bryce Young of the Carolina Panthers. So the first 2 years in Carolina have been pretty rough for Bryce Young. Overall, he's had a 6-22 record as a starting quarterback, and he hasn't been that good statistically over his first 2 years, with the exception of after he was benched in 2024 and was brought back. He then proceeded to win 4 out of the remaining 10 games of that season, and his stats improved drastically. He threw more touchdowns, less interceptions, and was more efficient after his benching. And while that is an improvement, he needs to be able to show he can do that more consistently over an entire season. He was obviously Carolina's first overall pick 2 years back, and he needs to prove that he still is worthy of being a starter. If he doesn't prove that he deserves to be the starter after 2025, the Panthers in 2026 should be able to find a replacement for Bryce Young. At number 3, we have Geno Smith. Now, Geno Smith, since being given the job but replacing Russell Wilson in 2022, Geno went 27-22 as the starter of the Seahawks, but now he's a Las Vegas Raider. 2024 was statistically his best season of his career, so there are some high hopes for him going into Vegas. The one thing that I think puts a damper on that, at least in my opinion, is the Raiders roster isn't as amazing as the Seahawks roster. And despite his success in Seattle, the Raiders aren't necessarily built the same way as the Seahawks. And with 2026 looking to be a good QB class, if the Raiders are in the upper echelon of draft picks for the 2026 draft, I could see them taking a young quarterback to potentially eventually replace Geno Smith. The one way I think they don't do that is if Geno makes the Raiders competitive, and that might be the way he keeps his job for more than just 1 year. Obviously, being competitive in the AFC West is not easy. At number 2, we have Trevor Lawrence. Now, Trevor Lawrence, his best year as a quarterback was 2022. He spent 4 years with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and over his 4 years, he's went 22-38 as the starter. Though if you discount the year with Urban Meyer, it was not, his real career record is 19-24. Of course, he was doing pretty good for the 2 years directly after Urban Meyer was fired, but in 2024, a disaster happened. The Jaguars fell apart. It did not look good. Trevor Lawrence, of course, was a first-round quarterback, but he's not really produced like a true top-tier quarterback in the NFL. The one problem that plagues Trevor Lawrence, of course, is the fact that he is a turnover machine. He fumbles a lot, he throws interceptions somewhat frequently, and that's not good for his team's success, obviously. And at number 1, the quarterback most under pressure is Anthony Richardson. Now, to prove how under pressure he is, I'm not even sure he'll be the starter when the season happens, because Daniel Jones was brought in to potentially replace him ahead of the season. So the Colts are already have a little head start on getting rid of him. Over Anthony Richardson's first 2 seasons, he's been hurt a lot. His record as when he wasn't hurt for the Colts as a starter was 8-7. However, his stat line is terrible. He's not a very good passer at all, other than launching deep balls that really aren't that accurate to begin with. Richardson, of course, in those games is a bit of a turnover machine and has commitment issues to the NFL. Notably, over the past 2 seasons, a key piece of the Colts roster is a backup quarterback with some upside to cover up the fact that Anthony Richardson is their quarterback. 2 years ago, they had Gardner Minshew. Last year, they had Joe Flacco. They always bring in a quarterback that they can throw in case of Anthony Richardson getting hurt or just playing badly. And that's not good, because that shows the Colts already are having questions about how much they want to have him around. So the first test for Richardson is to just be the starter when the season starts, which shouldn't be that hard, but it's Anthony Richardson, so I assume it's actually going to be quite dramatic, whether he or Daniel Jones is the Colts starter in 2025. And once he gets that far, once he at least gets to be the starter, or if he does, he needs to play amazing. He needs to get serious, play better, be more accurate at the football. He needs to make progress, or the Colts might just replace him just so they actually look like they have a competent quarterback on the team. And with that being said, guys, please like, share, subscribe down below, comment what you think, and I'll see you next time.